Hey everybody. So one of the things that came up in a few discussions recently was that idea of being cognizant and aware of our own biases and perceptions and how they affect us preparing and training for dealing with violence. Now, there's a saying that I really like, which comes from risk management, right? Which is that risk creates meaning. Now, I'd like to change that or tweak that a little bit to perceived risk creates meaning. What does that mean? If you're looking to learn how to manage violence, there's a good chance that you're doing that because of a particular fear that you have. Okay, maybe you were a victim of violence, maybe you were exposed to violence, maybe there's stuff going on in your, in the area where you live or something like that, that's got you thinking that you need to learn how to defend yourself. And I'm all for that. I think that's great. I think everybody should be, should be given the chance to learn the physical skills and the soft skills to be able to defend themselves against violence. That's great. But the problem that we have, or the challenge that we have, is a lot of the time the way we perceive the actual risk is very different to what it actually is. What do I mean by that? For example, I might see a string of attacks of a particular kind on the news. Maybe it's a stabbing or a shooting or a home invasion or something like that, and that prompts me to go and seek out self-defense classes. Fantastic. But just because that was on the news doesn't necessarily mean that that's the most relevant risk to you. All right. So what does that mean? Maybe those particular incidents were actually in another part of the city that you live in, and they're not necessarily the most immediate threat to you. So what we need to do is recognize where our biases lie, because quite often the thing that we fear the most is not necessarily the same as the thing that can cause us the most harm. What we really need to do is look at things with a critical eye and a unbiased or objective mindset and try and assess what are the risks that I'm most likely to face and how do I prepare for that. If you do that, hopefully that'll also alleviate other fears that you have. But it's important that we become aware of the fears that we have, the biases that we have, and how they might affect our decisions in terms of preparing for violence, and then make sure that we seek expert advice in preparing for the right things. Okay, so have a think about that. Get in touch if you have any questions, and we can help you sort that out.